Hey y'all, it's Necey Dixon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, y'all, welcome back. This episode of Real Housewives of Potomac was needed, okay? It was appreciated. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was real funny. We got a little kiki over Ashley and Michael and her trying to y'all. Then Gizelle's daughters reading her for filth as they do every time we see them on screen. But even more so this episode, I was like, really? So I'm excited to talk to y'all about Real Housewives of Potomac. Missed y'all on Sunday to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville and Ready to Love. Y'all, I was feeling so overwhelmed with just all the shows in life in general. Okay. Because y'all know I'm good for posting at least 2 to 3 videos a week, but having to think about putting out like 5 videos over the course of like 2 days, too much. And 2 days that were supposed to be my weekend. So I just had to decide what was absolutely necessary and what wasn't for my mental. So we're going to move on. I'm not reviewing Love and Marriage Huntsville from last week or Ready to Love, but next week we should continue as regularly scheduled. Okay. Hope y'all don't mind. But yeah, it was just a lot. So I'm happy to be here and talk to y'all. I see Alicia in the comments, Brittany Moss, Danielle, what's up, girl? And Ashley Alexandria. Let's go ahead and get into this review for Real Housewives of Potomac. Okay. So the episode starts out and the girls are at dinner. One of the things that I actually took a note of that I thought was hilarious was the fact that as the chefs were prepping for dinner, they zoom in on the salad, like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? And of course, this is in reference to Mia and Candiace, right? So then Ray and Karen come downstairs and they have their matching white hats on. They two-stepping, acting like they're just so in love because they're celebrating 25 years. And y'all, tell me, is it just me? But I've always, like, that's my goals. I want to be the old two-stepping couple that wears the matching hats and we 1-2-stepping, to the music. I be doing that with my friends sometimes just because it's so fun to do. So to see Karen and Ray come downstairs, I was like, oh, this is cute. This is cute. Karen is definitely about to brand this 25 years of love. And as you should, stun on these hoes because Ashley's relationship is not real and Gizelle is packing her luggage, okay? But I know I just scored on Gizelle, y'all. I have to tell y'all, the last scene with Gizelle kind of made me feel more like, you know what? I like seeing Gizelle by herself when she's not amongst the other women because typically every time I see Gizelle and every time Gizelle is with the women, it's her being miserable. And I hate to see it. Oh, hold on, let me fix my angle. I hate to see it, okay? I feel like Gizelle could give us so much more if she worried about herself instead of trying to produce the show. And it's her just trying to deflect from actual feelings. What's up, Monique? It's Gizelle just trying to deflect from actual feelings. We're going to get into it, but I have to tell y'all this episode, I don't even want to say it out loud, but I was a little bit softened by Gizelle. I know it ain't gonna last, y'all. I ain't no fool, okay? Next week, I'm pretty sure she gonna go back to being miserable. She's gonna play her role in the show. So anyway, we were talking about the dinner scene. So LOL, the salad. Karen and Ray come downstairs, super cute. One of the things that stuck out to me was at dinner, Candiace says, oh, I want to sit next to Mia. And it kind of makes me happy because I told y'all based on the thumbnail of my last video, Mia and Candiace are actually match made. Y'all both have mommy issues. Y'all both are supposedly Mia younger in comparison to the other women on the show. So I think that y'all actually should be cool. So Candiace sits next to Mia, right? And they start having conversation about Eddie and his mother. Ashley's the one who starts the conversation and says, Eddie, have you talked to your mom? So if you're new to the show, Eddie family basically disowned him whenever he decided to marry Wendy. Eddie lets everyone know that he's currently working on the relationship with his mom. She called him on the phone about a month ago or something like that, and she asked how the family was. So everybody's happy that he leaves the door cracked, as Eddie said, for his mom. Mia in her confessional says that she thinks that it's important for anyone to have a relationship with their parent, whether they're 12 years old or 55 years old. I think that's very interesting because we see Mia talk about her mom later on. We're going to get to that. But before we get to that, G is sitting there and he says, "Oh man, I could be doing so much more right now. Besides this, I could be sleeping." And that's him being shady, taking a jab at Ashley because Ashley is still pissed off that G was making fun of her falling asleep on the bus at the end of the last episode. Y'all, honestly, G is a clown. Okay? G is a whole clown. We know that. You got to know how to operate around clowns. And my thing is like, Ashley, if you are so tired, why are you spending your good minutes arguing with the clown? So I don't understand why this thing keeps coming up. Anyway, G makes his jab about sleeping, right? And this time, instead of Ashley speaking up, Gizelle has to get in the mix. Gizelle says, "G, didn't she just tell you to stop talking about sleeping or blah, 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 blah? Hey, Ramel, what's up?" She says, "G, didn't she just tell you to stop talking about sleeping?" And this is the part that took me out, okay? G says, "I'm not sorry about what I said, but I'm sorry if it made you feel away." And I thought that that was funny as hell because it's like, I'm sorry you in your feelings, but I didn't say anything to you to trigger that type of response. And with that being said, G, I agree with you, okay? I'm going to stand by your side on that one. I know you a clown, but for that situation, I got to stand by your side. So Ashley keeps talking about the situation and he says, "What? We were on a bus? Like, what are you talking about?" Trying to play her like, "I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm not entertaining this." So then Ashley says, "What is it? Amnesia? Is it Alzheimer's?" And that's where Mia steps in and says, "Ashley, as a woman, as a younger woman with an older husband, you know that you shouldn't be joking about Alzheimer's." Alzheimer's, she says Alzheimer's with the T. Alzheimer's is a very serious disease. And Ashley says, "I know it's Alzheimer's with a Z." And then Ashley doubles down and says, "Well, I said amnesia first. You know what I meant." And in this situation, y'all, I couldn't help but compare and contrast it to Candiace calling Ashley wide body, right? I thought it was wrong. I still think it was wrong that Candiace called her wide body. Don't care what Candiace said about her forehead. Don't care what Candiace said about her mouth or her husband or anything like that. But as far as wide body, I kind of felt away because Ashley was fresh off of having a baby. But in this scene, when Ashley decided to use Alzheimer's to jab at G, I was like, all is fair. All is fair. In that moment, I immediately did not feel bad for Candiace's choice of words because I'm like, Ashley, you hit below the belt on that one too. So Ashley says, "I'm not ageist." Mia says, "Where's your husband?" Okay. And everybody goes, and Ashley says, "He's at home." And Mia says, "Are you sure about that?" So then it's another kiki moment that I got to point out. Okay. G says to Ashley she needs a hug. And Mia says, "Oh, well, she needs some peen." And Ashley says, "Well, if I'm going to get some peen, it's going to be from somewhere else. Give me a hug, Robin." Uh, Now, y'all know the girls have been joking for seasons and seasons about how how Robin be giving trade, okay? People be joking about how Robin and Gizelle be hunching. People be joking about stuff like that. But when she said, "Robin, give me a hug," in response to them telling her that she needed some peen, I was like, interesting that you immediately go straight for Robin. Then y'all know how I have Hulu, okay? I watch the episodes on Hulu. And y'all know at the end of the episode, they immediately go into like, "Oh, about the Real Housewives recap, episode 100 or whatever," right? So I just let that play in the background. And they played a scene from the dungeon party last season and you see Ashley getting on top of Robin in a joking way. So with that mixed with Michael talking about Juan, I'm like, they might be swingers. Michael might want Juan and Robin might want Ashley. And if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. But so many signs were just pointing. And I was like, Odd, okay? So now while all that is going on, the argument and Ashley talking about getting some pain from Robin, Karen is coming over in a cake because Ray says his fantasy is always wanting a woman to jump out of a cake. So Karen jumps out of a cake. Luckily, she has clothes on, okay? I wouldn't want to see it, but it definitely would be a nice treat if they were alone. So Karen jumps out of cake. Her and Ray are hugging and kissing because it's their 25th year. And you know they got a brand that they're just so in love as they get ready for this vow renewal, right? So then the trip is over. And Wendy is in her confessional talking about her hosting skills. Wendy says that her hosting skills was a 10 out of 10. She talks about how she cooked for them, cleaned for them, had itineraries, events, and everything to do. And y'all, honestly, I have to agree. I think Wendy did a really good job hosting this trip. I don't care that Robin and Gizelle didn't have a bathroom. Y'all said y'all weren't coming. So as far as the first roll count, everybody had a bathroom. Everyone was tended to. So besides that, I would say it was an amazing event. I mean, Robin and Gizelle, and I won't let this go. Hell, they last event at a damn construction site. Y'all couldn't even rent out no damn dinner patio space for the ladies. Y'all had it outside. And to be honest, everybody should have had hard hats on. So then Robin comes in her confessional and she says that Wendy's hosting skills was a -5. Okay. I really hope that next time Robin hosts a trip, let's see if she can get Juan to come. Okay. That's the only task that I would want Robin to focus on. So now, y'all, everybody is at home. Hey, y'all, just joining the live. So now everybody's at home and they start receiving invitations from Karen. Karen is so extra in the funniest way. The invitations all have butterflies inside of them. So people are jumping, getting afraid. Candiace said she thought it was roaches. Who knows what? But I don't know why Karen thought that was a good idea. Whenever Gizelle opened up her invitation, one of her butterflies died. It was dead. So I'm just like, Karen, I get the extraness, but some 3D paper artificial butterflies definitely would have sufficed. So then we get to G and Mia. They're having a conversation. Speaking of, like I told y'all at the beginning, how Mia says that relationships are important between parents. She starts talking about her mom. So her mom had been blowing up her phone whenever her and G were on their anniversary trip because she really couldn't get a hold of the kids. Apparently, the kids are too much for her to handle, too much for her to babysit. So she ended up coming back, or Mia and G end up coming back home early. And whenever they do, Mia's mom gets into an argument with them. They get into an argument. She ends up leaving, and Mia is immediately triggered by her feelings of abandonment from her mom when she was younger. Y'all, honestly, my thing is like, Mia has 3 kids, right? I don't know if they're bad behaved. I don't know, right? But on the other foot, we also know that Mia's mom lives with Mia's sister and her kids, and she works as a live-in nanny for her sister. So I feel as though Mia's mom probably just didn't want to watch her 3 kids. That's just me. I don't think, and especially their ages, y'all. They're not like 2 and under or 3 and under. They're all school age children. So I feel like you blowing up her phone was you simply just not wanting to watch her kids. And I feel like that's another reason why Mia definitely was triggered by the situation. Mia's mom definitely favors her sister over her. And I think that that's something that they should dig into on this show. And while I do mention that, Mia, I ain't gonna let this go. You said, Hurt. Sorry, y'all, my dog was tapping. But you said that Candiace could potentially cause your mom to relapse. But to be honest, all of this stress that you're putting your mom under, bringing her on TV, having her watch your kids, that's stressful enough to cause somebody to relapse. So I'm like, girl, I'm not. Yes, yep, SD. I agree. I think it has to do a lot with Mia's dad. She probably doesn't want to have that same relationship with Mia. You gonna tell me you don't have experience watching 3 children? I don't know. It's definitely something else that's up. So anyway, they have both decided that they want to distance themselves from the mother, and Mia more so because she wants to protect her children. And of course, she's triggered by being abandoned by her mom. So I do feel bad for Mia in that situation. So now, y'all, we're going to move on to Gizelle and those daughters. Gizelle and her daughters are funny AF. They be playing the mess out of her. They were walking around like a garden or nursery area looking for plants for the house. And she's picking plants, and especially the twins. The twins are like, that's hideous. That's ugly. Our house is already plain and white. So then, y'all, Gizelle ends up asking the girls, and I hate to say it, y'all, I feel like this is such a sensitive thing for Gizelle, but Gizelle really needs to figure out what she wants to teach her children. I'm kind of concerned because I feel like Giselle's daughters are already to the age to where what they've seen in relationships have already influenced them. Like they're already at dating age. So I don't know if any changes in Gizelle and the way that she acts in her relationships will affect them now. I think it's kind of late. I think it's late. So it's a slippery slope. I'll get into that some more, right? So Gizelle starts the conversation with her daughters and she asks them, should she bring a date to Karen's wedding? Now, y'all, why are you all of a sudden worried about bringing a man? Okay. I think it really hurt you that Wendy said that you were going to bring your luggage. So now you're worried about bringing a man to an event to fill space. So that's strike number one for me. What impression are you giving your daughters? Do you need a date just so the other girls won't talk about you bringing your luggage, so the other girls won't say, where's Jamal, right? So the daughters have mixed answers. I think the two twins say, no, you shouldn't bring a guy because you don't know how he's going to act if you've never taken him anywhere before. Whereas Grace, the oldest daughter, says, yes, you should bring a man. So I'm like, okay, they're already very impressionable at this point. They're thinking that you need a date. What do you need a date for? You don't need one. You're only bringing a date to try to satisfy everyone else's opinions of you being lonely, which might be true. So the daughters said, we just don't want you to die alone. You're pretty lonely, right? So then Grace says that it's really hard for her to look up to either one of her parents for advice or examples as far as it comes to dating. So I'm like, dang, that sucks. So Gizelle is telling the girls, you need to be emotionally available. It's okay to express your feelings. And the daughters are sitting there looking at her like, okay, well, you need to lead by example. Like, you aren't saying anything. It's okay to share your feelings. Well, do that, right? Exactly, California. She just don't want to bring the luggage. Exactly. So anyway, one of her daughters, she took me out, one of the twins, she says, at this point, I feel like you're just a vampire and you really don't have any emotions at all. Y'all, that part took me out because I believe everything that the girls are saying. And while we go hard on Gizelle online, it's almost like they're seeing some of the things that we are seeing as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up Gizelle. Gizelle ends up going to therapy. She meets with the therapist and she lets him know that the girls say that she's emotionally unavailable. And then she tells the therapist that she decided to get back with her ex because it's been about 2 years since the last time we saw her therapist on TV. So the therapist is like, why did you do that? And she's like, I thought things were different this time. And then he asked her, well, was it love driven? Great question. Did y'all love each other so much y'all just wanted to get back together? Gizelle says that she felt like he looked at her differently, like he was starting to respect her. And she wanted to, I think she said, go for it or take a jump and make the relationship work for the family. Gizelle, this scene right here, I feel like made you much more tolerable because one, you came off as human. Two, you showed your vulnerabilities, even though you really didn't want to show them in that scene. Let's be real. You didn't get back with Jamal for the family. The girls are high school. They're going to be out the house in the next 4 years. Okay. You didn't get back with Jamal for the family. You got back with Jamal because you need a man. And you said that. You said, I know I need a man. I just don't want to answer to one. And that's another thing that I feel like is a mistruth. it's not that you don't want to answer to a man. You can't find a man. So you have to make it seem like, your ideal situation is not being with a man, but you need one. Gizelle, it's okay. It's okay. I know the digs about the luggage, the digs about where's Jamal and your phone really does hurt. But I know you got back with Jamal because you always have to be with somebody. And your daughters called that out a couple seasons ago. They said you're happier when you're in a relationship. So to me, I feel like you've already waited too long to make a good impression on them, because this could go one of two ways. Your daughters could either have a huge mistrust for men and not want to be vulnerable in relationships as they've seen you. And then the other thing is they could also feel the need to always be with someone. So I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned when it comes to that, because they don't have an example for that. And they're already old enough to be dating. Like, honestly, y'all, even if Gizelle acts like she doesn't know, like when she was in the garden scene, she said, and maybe you are already dating. They're dating. Okay. You're liking boys in middle school. You already picking and choosing. So I just really hope they don't feel the need to always be with somebody. So anyway, the other thing that the daughter said, y'all, that was hilarious as hell, definitely was based on the thumbnail. She said it's been 50 years of struggle. So because Gizelle is so unemotional and so emotionally unavailable, her daughters feel like they can have honest conversations with her and say things that might scar. So I was like, damn, that was honestly, that was tough. It was funny for us, but for Gizelle, that probably actually hurt her, which is why she always has this armor. So anyway, her therapist tells her to let her walls down. There's a couple moments in this scene where it looks like Gizelle wants to cry. Her face gets a little red, but she doesn't. She doesn't. And when he tells her that she is not showing her daughters or not being an example for her daughters, she says, this is horrible. She says this is horrible, but emotionally in her face, she's not discussing feelings. She just says, this is horrible. So I would love to learn more about Gizelle. Maybe I wouldn't dislike you so much. Come on back, therapist. I want to find out what's going on with Gizelle so she can get out of these 50 years of struggle. So now, y'all, we will move on to Ashley. Nah, let's talk about Wendy first. Wendy's was real quick. So Wendy is doing a photo shoot for her home essentials line, and it looks like they're wearing Skims. It's funny. I just wish I like the outfits, but I feel like a brand as big as Skims would somewhat be overshadowing your message. Your message is the candles, which is your brand. And when I saw the pictures, I couldn't help but think about Skims. But that's just me thinking about them little marketing classes I took in college. So anyway, we find out that Eddie has done the business plan. Eddie has done the finances. So thank God for Eddie. Eddie is husband of the season. It's either Eddie or Chris, because Chris be putting in overtime to really regulate and help Candiace keep calm. It doesn't work, but he works harder than most. So Eddie, good job, okay, getting the business together. So they're doing a photo shoot. It's her mother, and her daughter, and the photographer is there. He's African. And Wendy's mom says, are you just a photographer? Did you go to school for photography? He says, no, I'm an engineer. So then Wendy goes, oh, wow, look at that, mom. He's an engineer. He probably just got the engineer degree because of his parents, right? So he says, yeah, pretty much the African struggle of what you want, of what your parents want from you versus what you really want. So then she gets back into this whole storyline that we seen last season. She says that she felt like she had done things to make her mother happy first rather than chasing her dreams earlier. At this point in time, I feel like she probably should go to therapy to discuss that with her mom. We talked about it last season. Your mom told you that she was proud of you. And honestly, you can't go back to saying where you would have been or what you could have started earlier if your mom wasn't so pressured. I feel like at this point in Wendy's life, all you can do is look at where you are. Doesn't really matter how you got there, right? So that scene was that her mom ends up leaving. Wendy talks about how she felt like her mom never apologized to her growing up. Her mom claims she did. Wendy looking like you a damn lie. Her mama put on the sunglasses and leaves and go get to Uber. So that's that with Wendy. I feel like we didn't heard it up before. We didn't heard it before. Um, the only way this will be different, in my opinion, is if y'all went to therapy and y'all actually had a breakthrough moment. Other than that, I don't want to like hear you and your mama argue about the same stuff that y'all talked about last season. So let's get into Ashley. Let's get into Miss Forehead. Okay. So Ashley goes to her therapist, Dr. Donna. We saw her a couple seasons ago whenever she needed help with Michael's infidelity. This time she's back. She's talking to the therapist about how she just feels like a different Ashley. She then explains that her sex drive has changed and that, sometimes she'll try to make attempts on Michael. She'll rub his leg. And Michael just says that he doesn't have the capacity for sex. So then the therapist or the doctor was like, well, maybe he doesn't. And she says, maybe he doesn't, or maybe I should believe him. And the doctor says, well, do you feel like he's being truthful? And she says, yes, I think he's being truthful. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Ashley gave the type of answer where it was like, this therapy session is being recorded and broadcasted. Let me say yes instead of saying how I really feel, because Michael's lying. And part of me wonders if that intimacy was ever there before you had kids, because we done seen from Michael several times again and again that he is really into the men's. And like I told y'all, at the end of the newest episode on Hulu, they always go back and immediately after they play the how we got here, episode 100. And I'm glad I watched it because it refreshed a lot of memories. They showed clips of Michael talking about wine, clips of Michael walking up to a dude at Candiace's uncle's, was it Candiace's uncle or Ashley's uncle's birthday party, talking about how he was a nice looking man and he was trying to exchange numbers. We didn't see it multiple times, Ashley. So I really want to know, was the sexual chemistry ever there before? I don't think it was. So who knows? Maybe it's the fact that you need it now and you're not getting it. So she ends up saying she feels like she lost herself, and the doctor tells her to check in on her relationship maybe twice a week. So that's what encourages Ashley to check out a hotel room for an evening date night. And she's wearing this leopard dress. She's also drinking her Corona, setting the mood. And Michael comes to the door. And all of his compliments to me just seem very like business transactional. It's very much like, very nice. Thank you. Like nothing that seems real normal or like you're actually into her. So then they start having conversations about the trip. Michael says, I felt like you would have had a lot of time to sleep. Ashley says, well, I didn't have any time to sleep. Then she starts talking about G. Next, Michael was like, well, that's why I didn't want to go, because I would only want to be around people who I actually like Juan. Juan is a great guy. Juan this, Juan that. They're showing flashbacks of Juan. Yes, California Cutie. Those Juan and Michael clips was shady, but they all took place. They're showing clips of Michael and Juan. Him talking about a bachelor party in Vegas, just them two. So many times, especially the clip where he said that he wanted to suck Juan's peen. He loves that man. So Ashley gets up and she kisses Michael on the lips. And if she wouldn't have done that, he probably would have been talking about Juan the whole time. And y'all, let's be real. When Ashley got up and kissed him, Michael probably wasn't even thinking about Ashley. He was thinking about his man Juan. I'm sure he was. So they end up, having a nice little intimate scene. And she says, go on in the room and I'm going to take this dress off. They go to the room. And that's that, y'all. But I don't think that Michael actually really wants Ashley like that. And I feel like Ashley was okay with that earlier in their marriage because she was getting the money, right? She was okay with being a trophy wife. But now looking back, you want more. You want kids, right? He didn't want kids, right? So now all of a sudden, now you want intimacy. Now you want a real husband, when I feel like that's probably not what you signed up for. All of this, Michael potentially being in the men, Michael not being sexually driven is not new. Okay. I don't think it's new. I think it's probably something that always persisted in their marriage, just like the fact that he didn't want kids. So a lot of people sign up for things because at that moment they find one thing greater than the other. Ashley found financial security greater than actually having a husband that wanted her or having kids. So then she argued with him on the point of having kids. They finally had 2 kids back to back. Nothing changed. So whenever you get into something, just know what the terms and conditions are. Terms and conditions are not easily changed. So I hope Ashley finds some sort of answer. It's probably not in Michael because Michael is finding his answer out here in these it's okay. But yeah, that's all I had. Yes, right. He said Juan doesn't play any games. That's all I had for this review, y'all. I knew it wasn't going to be very quick, and I know a lot of y'all are going to be watching this on playback. So I hope y'all enjoyed this review. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I will see y'all on Thursday for Married at First Sight. And if you haven't had a chance, be sure to check out my Insecure review. That one was pre-recorded and I just put that one up. Okay. So yes, watch the playback. With that being said, I hope y'all have an amazing night. Bye.